I'm not a poet. I don't hold any degrees. I'm not a tech guru. Hell, I don't even think I'm that great of a storyteller. What am I? I'm a barber. I'm not just any barber. I'm from Compton. I own and operate my business on Compton Boulevard. I'm an author, an educator, a father, a son, but most importantly, I'm a caregiver. I had a little time between cuts today, and I figured I'd stop by and reflect with you for a little while because, you know, I've come a long way, and me being in front of you on this stage proves just that. I'm gonna take you on a not-so-rhythmic tour, a journey that begins in turmoil, but ends in discovery and triumph. We gotta start back in 1998, when my mom and I were both at LAX, and she purchased me a one-way trip ticket from LA to Oakland. You see, I had a drug deal gone bad, and my mom knew that I needed to get out of here. She said, son, I've given you all the tools that I can, but I can't help you to become a man. And I understood what she meant because ever since I was a kid, I had a fascination with a father and son relationship, kind of Michael and Vito Corleone out of the Godfather movies. You see, my dad was incarcerated most of my adolescence and through my teen years. And so I know a lot of my decision making and a lot of the things that I did were in direct contrast to what my mother wanted for me because she watched my father in and out of the penitentiary for the majority of my life. So when at 15 years old, she caught me in the house bagging up dope for sale, I knew it had to break her heart. So here we are in 1998, and we're looking at a life or death situation because, again, I made another bad choice. Fast forward that day, I hopped on that plane and I landed in Oakland. And I remember touching down in Oakland and thinking and remembering the DJ Quick song, Just Like Compton. Because to me, Oakland was just like Compton. To them, banging wasn't nothing new and slanging wasn't nothing new. And for everyone we done shot, they done shot too. But I knew that I needed to go ahead and reflect and make sure that I did not go down that same rabbit hole that I had so easily done in my hometown. So I began to journal and visualize what I wanted for my life to reflect and the narrative that I wanted to create for myself and for my legacy. So I dug deep into my culture, dug deep into my barbering, and 16 years later, I made a name for myself. I not only was a prominent name in barbering, I was also an owner with my, at the time, second wife. Yeah, I said my second wife. And we owned and operated a business that went on to be really successful. And to this day, it's still successful. So it's needless to say, the relationship wasn't as strong as the business. But however, I went on to start teaching for one of Sacramento's biggest schools in barbering. I changed the narrative because even though I was in the Bay Area, I never stopped repping Compton. Things seemed to be going real great, real good. And I get a phone call from one of my neighborhood family members telling me that my mom had been exhibiting some behavior that was not like her. You see, she was a strong woman, and she had retired from the post office, and she was a community figure, part of the beautification committee, part of the voter registration committee, just a real proud woman. And she started doing things like losing her keys and getting locked out of her home and just things that just were abnormal. When I got that call, I felt I wasn't ready to come back home because my mother made me made me make her a promise that I wouldn't come back home until I got my life together. I had not got my life together. I was in a failing marriage. I was sleeping in my car and in my barbershop. I hadn't got my life together. I didn't want to come home. But I knew with the urgency of that phone call, I needed to be back here to take care of my mom. So with a heavy heart, I got back on that freeway and came back home to the hub to take care of Mom. When I got here, it was like a whirlwind hit because I had no idea that she had hid the same things from me as I was hiding from the world. Her symptoms of early onset dementia came out of nowhere. She was only 63. So I jumped into that car with Mom, and I made a conscious effort to just make sure I take care of her wholeheartedly. Gave up everything, but it wasn't hard. Same token, I felt disconnected from my passion, which was and still is barbering. So I took the time when I changed my I changed my garage into a barbershop I changed my garage into a barbershop / studio, just in case, code enforcement is listening. And before you know it, not only was this a place where I could go ahead and create and have a good time entertaining friends and family and clientele, but it became a look-to and a place where people to come and see a little hidden gem in the city. I still felt a slight disconnection because I wanted to do more. So I reached out to the people that were in my community, and I asked them, those people that were doing things within the community to help the homeless and vets and things of that nature, if they needed the service of a barber. And indeed, they said they did. So I jumped back in wholeheartedly with that as well and started giving haircuts to the homeless and vets and people of that nature that needed help. And with my hands, figuratively and literally, I was able to help transform a few lives, and that's what I enjoyed doing. Well, I noticed that when I was doing this, I'd often get the question, where was my shop and where do I work? And I was slightly embarrassed to say I was working out of my garage and I was a caregiver. So I put out in the universe that I wanted to create a space like no other. Because I'm from Compton, but I know, we could do better. I said I wanted to bring high end to the hub. And so what I did is I put out into the universe once again that this is something I was going to do. I had no idea. I had no money. I just had a couple of people that believed in me and a praying mama. A few months later, Barberism Shop was born. And this shop is family friendly, but bigger than that, it encompasses the positivity and the culture of my city that I love, because my mama taught me to love this city. February 11th of this year, 2020, heaven opened up its doors and took Mom from me. And probably one of the hardest days of my life. But I had a hard mama that raised me to be hard. So instead of crying about it and becoming weak about it, I chose a way to make her legacy live even longer. And so what I'm going to do is I'm putting together a group of people that care for caregivers and the people like me that care for somebody else when they couldn't care for themselves. So I'm hoping that, especially in these times that we're in right now, that everybody that's watching and paying attention to what we're doing here in Compton steps out of their comfort zone and chooses to give a little care for somebody else. That's it. Thank you.